We are live. What's up, everybody? It is G Mr. Drew here to welcome you to another episode of the Andrew Glowczewski Experience. This is going to be episode 178. Going to continue working on this environment and, picking up right where we left off. I had started using a bit of the markers, did some light blues for the water in the sky or the clouds, and yeah, so today we're gonna definitely tackle the buildings, and hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully, we're gonna finish this one out. So I'll start with tackling the buildings, and then hopefully like just some finishing touches, and that's all that is going to be required from this. Uh, don't know how it's gonna go. Don't know how anything, but whatever. Um, I got I got Mark Maron's WTF podcast with Kevin Smith playing in the background. Kind of just started a little bit ago, so I'm just gonna let that rock. And while I work, and we'll we'll see what happens. All right, let's go. Grab some markers.
And never, it's not one of those movies where I'm like, we've done it too much. Just move on. Fargo, Raising Arizona, Barton Fink, Miller's Crossing. These movies are religion to me. So much so that, like, look, it's, I think a lot of, there's a movie we made that's coming up soon called Red State. Yeah. And some people see the teaser for it online, which is drastically different from most of the stuff I'm used to. Most of the stuff I'm used to is comedy. This looks more grown up. And the Coen Brothers were a huge influence. That was nice. But at the same time, I'm sure you know.
Oh, camera's so close. I'm already bumping it. I wonder if I should back this up. I can't even get my hand in here. Hold on. Let me adjust this. Get the camera a little off the ground.
So for me, I'm like, I've seen a lot of people going surprising, reacting surprised to the teaser of the movie. And me, I'm like, well, I know. Didn't you guys know? And you know, you're alone there. Like, knowing what you can do and what you can't do.
There we go.
That you've yet to actually even put on display. Like, people want to pigeonhole you.
Hopefully that works.
Like, oh, he's got this clerks. That's it. That's it. Nothing more. Don't do anything more. So much so that when you do a podcast, people are like, well, who do you think you are now? When I started doing Q&A on stage, I put out that DVD. Yeah. I got so much shit. Who do you think you're a fucking comic? You're not a fucking comic. You're a filmmaker. Right. People want to keep you in one identifiable little box, which is totally fine.
Okay.
I like to, because of this cool little box, I got access to all these other cool boxes. Right. Where it's like, please don't hold me back. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to be a great comic book writer, but give a chance to write a comic book, I'm going to do it.
Well, I think what happens is that if you're not going to self-brand, which is what you're talking about, you've done, and you've had the fortitude to sort of take the hits and keep moving in your own direction, what they want to do is box you to brand you. And so, and especially if the expectations are met. Mm-hmm. That's why, certain bands make the same record over and over again, and why shit movies are shit movies.
Dude, I played to my audience, and I still believe I played to my audience.
So let me ask you,
I made those universe movies. And within the world of people that like those movies, man, I could keep going. I could keep doing it.
Sure, I mean, you've got your people.
But outside, holy shit. It was, you would have thought I was sitting there, I was doing earnest movies.
Well, did it hurt you feeling?
Of course it did.
I saw Clerks, I knew the buzz around Clerks, and and I've always talked to people when they bring up Clerks is that I think the one thing that was inherent, the one thing that the studio saw was like, this guy's got a sense of comedy. And he's got a sense of
certainly nobody watched that movie and said, this guy's a great film.
This guy's just Orson Welles.
Yeah, exactly. They were just like, look, here's the secret.
That's continuity.
It made us laugh.
Right.
Like, you don't give a shit what it looks like.
Right.
If it truly makes you laugh, like, in many ways, that was the hard figure. Like YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, now you didn't even have to work in a feature.
Yeah.
Now you can bring that shit down to 3 minutes.
The DIY world.
Done.
Yeah. Well, my question is, and we're going to get back to Scientology because I want to talk about Dogma a little bit, is then that, so you may have just grown up a little bit. I mean, it seems to me that you were hitting some of the same bells, that there was an adolescence to it, but I think that was you being aware of who your people were.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, some people feel like, well, he just needed to get that out of the system, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, that's all I wanted to do. And honestly, if people would have left me alone about it and stopped making fun of me for it, or telling me I was a bad filmmaker, or I'm not growing, if people would have stopped being my fucking mother about it, I made those new universe movies until I fucking pushed up daisies. It was fun. It was awesome, dude. It was like literally being able to play God and create your own universe.
So who told you to grow up?
Well, fucking felt like he just keeps making the same fucking movies over and over, which is bullshit. I defy you. Go watch all those movies.
Yeah.
Each one is absolutely different. Even the one that sequelizes the other.
Yeah.
Doesn't look a thing like the fucking other one.
Right.
Clearly, it's not even about the same thing.
But what was the primary criticism, that you were adolescent?
That I'm adolescent. I mean, look, I don't care if people look at those movies and only see the surface or like, just take it fart chips. Like, great, yeah, I understand. But don't begrudge an audience that finds everything else that's underneath. Some people like, look at the surface, read the cover of the book, and not for me. Some people actually read the book and find riches inside.
Right, like the Coen Brothers movie. Well, I mean, was that what Dogma was an answer to?
No, Dogma was written before anything else. Dogma was actually the first screenplay I wrote, even before Clerks, but never would have been able to make it because I was.
So were you like, at that time, were you like, hung up on the idea that like this is bullshit, and you
Dogma?
Yeah, the way you did your homework, were you brought up Catholic?
I was Catholic, lifelong Catholic. I still identify Catholic, but I don't go to church.
Right, because I mean,
practicing, or I got it right.
well, it's sort of interesting to me that in that movie, what you sort of do is with your sensibility, you broadened it out to almost a comic book universe.
Yes, that for me, Dogma is the product of a Catholic school kid who every time he's sitting in church, and they're like, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." I'm the one like,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Dogma is an extension of that, also mixed in with the juvenile conversation that comes in the college years about religion. We're sitting around smoking weed, going, "Hey man, you believe that Jesus was black?" Yeah, right. Or stuff like that.
I mean, you can't really explain how air works. Where did it come from?
Exactly. Some navel gazing, and then mixed in with a comic book sensibility.
Yeah.
And it did happen to have something to say about beliefs, about faith and spirituality. Clearly, you could say anything you want about Dogma, and you could say how bad it is, or if you're on the religious side, or how poorly it's made if you're a film critic or something like that. That movie's devout. It's insanely devout. That movie, there's a movie made fun of. This is one thing it never really got made fun of for.
Yeah.
It actually believes in God. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got attacked by the God people.
Right.
And maybe in many ways that was kind of what needed to happen. Otherwise, we would have been attacked by the non-God people for being like, "Hey man, didn't you make Clerks? Are you saying you believe in this God
Well,
bullshit?"
that's interesting that you say that, because that's not the first read you're going to have of it, because you've got all these broad comic characters that are representing angels and demons and devils and speaking for God. But I didn't even think about that. That the actual broader premise is that this all exists.
Yeah, all devout. That's the thing, and it's, if you start picking it apart, like if I was a member of another faith, I would have found that movie like ridiculous and also insulting, which is like, so the entire end of existence is predicated on this dopey fucking faith, on Catholicism more than anything else. They could have attacked that movie from any different angle. The fact that there were a bunch of religious people attacking that movie, I always found very ironic. So I'm like, this movie does your work for you. This movie is actually
Reaching out to a new crowd.
Yes, and it's espousing the same beliefs that you more or less believe in. Big pictures.
Yeah.
Not the minute.
But they have no sense of humor about it.
Nah, many people can't take an ass fucking joke, so they miss the big picture.
It's amazing too. Have you been to Italy?
No.
Have you ever? Dude, you gotta go, man. If you're a Catholic,
You gotta go, man.
In every city, there is a huge cathedral. In these 4 peasant cities, they built these monster cathedrals, and every cathedral has its dead wizard. God knows how many.
Dead wizard.
There's always like some body part that's a shrine that people pray to.
Yeah, they keep owning them.
Oh yeah. They gotta have their pieces. There must have been a huge business in body pieces of the saints.
It's totally. It's still. It's still. It's like any other market.
But the
It's a
spectacle,
fandom. Like people want a piece of Gretzky sweater.
right?
There's an alternate version where you want a piece of like St. Lawrence's too.
That right there, that's St. Catherine's head, bro. On that picture right there.
St. Catherine's head, bro.
Shrine with St. Catherine's head. I think I can't remember what town it's in. But what I was saying is that I'm not a religious person. I was brought up a Jew. I had been to the synagogue. I was bar mitzvah. I'm not familiar with Catholicism. But you stand in these cathedrals, and I don't care who you are.
Right.
I mean, I'm me, not some poor person who works in the fields, and you're literally like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You want to drop to your knees just to the amount of affectation and the amount of elaborate sort of mind fucking that went into getting people to believe.
And that's why stuff like that goes work.
Of course.
Educated populace, particularly, when
Of course.
origins of this all. Because you're talking about people going, wow, it's so big, God must be behind this.
Of course, yeah, and that was the big trick on the maintaining power. But even like people like, I know you knew Sam, or you were a fan of Kennison, I think.
Love Kennison.
That's why you wore the overcoat.
That's why I wore the overcoat.
Alright.
Did you know?
Sorry, my brother just sent me something. I was checking it out. Some idiot allowing himself to get paintballed, and then he throws himself head first into it. I was like, why wouldn't you, like, protect your head?
And he
Instead of getting shot in the head with paintballs 1,000 times.
And I had to leave running. So,
But hold on, but is there good stuff too?
oh, of course, yeah. It was great.
I would, Sam Kinison, well, you're gonna make me cry, because I rarely get started on Sam Kinison. Sam Kinison was the guy that in high school, you could look at and be like, holy shit, like, he looks like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was, I mean, I wouldn't want to say fallen, but he left faith behind. So he came from a background full of fucking faith, but there he was telling insanely risque, insanely wonderful.
He got his own time zone, that guy.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
definitely.
He had his own time zone.
Carlin's Bible, did you read Carlin's
No.
story of Bible,
No.
the last one?
No.
He, in it, he talks, there's a passage that talks about Kinison, where he's like, Kinison was one of the only comics that ever came up that made him uncomfortable, where he, not uncomfortable like, I don't like Kinison, but made him go, shit, why didn't I do that bit? Like the bit about, you know, why don't you go with a move with a food is?
Well, that bit's great. My favorite bit of his was actually, out of all of them. I mean, I understand the brilliance of a lot of them, but there's a line in that Manson bit that I fucking just, I never forget it. Because, you know, as a drug user and as somebody, you know, who had some sort of weird reverence for the 60s and some morbid fascination in Manson.
Right.
That bit where, like, you know, he's got the dead artist at the door. And he has to stick the chainsaw. And then that line where he goes, glad to see you fuckers can handle your high. That to me,
I stole that line
he
recently.
negated the entire 60s experience
Yes.
with one line.
Yeah.
Like, he negated all of the Manson thing, took all the mysticism out of it
Right.
with one fucking line.
Okay, look, these guys weren't mystical. They were
Just
fucking handle their fucking high.
Exactly.
I stole that line recently this year. I've only recently become a stoner within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And prior to that, nothing, just an eater, obviously. Not even a drink.
You lost some though, huh?
I did lost a bunch right for that reason. So anyway, I was, for me, when I got into weed, I was, you know, for years and years, I was a guy I had to battle my friend Muse, who plays Jay and my son Bob. He's a hardcore junkie. He has been. He's been almost clean now.
Don't think.
1 year. Oh, big time.
Yeah.
And he talks about it. We got podcasts we talk about all the time. But he,
Great podcast. Oh my God. Let me pause this for a second. You know, he passes over this because it's, you know, years gone by now. But Kevin Smith has a podcast. Well, you know, I probably don't even need to speak about Kevin Smith and all his podcasts and things like that. Like, I'm sure people are probably aware of it. But if you're not, because once upon a time I wasn't, I just happened to find it on my own. I think it was like when I was just, you know, looking up things on like iTunes or something. He has Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. And I would definitely tell anyone and everyone to go back and watch those first episodes. You know, maybe it's like the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes. Because at this point, it's been going on for years. I couldn't tell you how many episodes he has, but there's a lot of them now. But go back and watch the beginning episodes, especially starting at 1. Like, that'll be the thing to really kick it off and get you going. Oh my God, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, you know, Jay and Silent Bob, they talk about Mewes' abuse with heroin, I believe it was, and you know, them talking about in their history and how it's affected them and da 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 da. And I was sitting there listening to it, and about a few episodes in, I was telling myself, I was like, look, maybe they don't realize what they're doing right now, but them talking about it is helping Mewes. Like, them talking about it is helping. And then on the next episode, they brought it up, where they were like, yeah, and we're hoping that, you know, with just talking about this, that is helping them. And Mewes was like, yeah, for sure is. And it was just like, oh, okay, so yeah, they're aware. But it's so beautiful because you get to listen to two friends, and one friend who never gave up on the other and did nothing but try to, you know, do what was best, and stuck around and tried to help him, and not by being the fucking the mom figure, you know, shaking his, you know, wagging his finger at his friend and being like, oh, you're better than this. Not in a way to make him feel bad, but actually just stuck it out with him and And, these are during the days when they were making like, back in the 90s or early 2000s when they made the original Jay and Silent Bob and things like that. And then you find out like, oh, Muse was on heroin and fucking hung over during that scene and da 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 da. And it was like, Jesus Christ, what they had to have gone through in order to to stick it out to get it to where they are today, where they're definitely way off in a better place today. Look, this picture's already coming together pretty well. I love it. Um, but yeah, definitely go back and watch that. I mean, I remember just being a few episodes in, and me with my own personal uh, social history and family and friends and everything else that I've had, and then my whatever use with whatever drugs I may or may not have ever taken. I always reflect because it's a part of my life, so I always reflect upon those times, and you know, I didn't have that. So when I see it happening, it's so enlightening to know that it's out there. It just didn't happen for me, you know? And I battled through it on my own and I had my own experience with it all. Uh, and all I had were people just waving their fingers at me instead of, anybody actually really trying to just understand or truly help, you know. But I guess everyone's going through their own thing, and it's not right for me to expect anything from this world. So I don't even hold it against people like that. But once upon a time, I didn't think people like that existed, or that help was actually out there. So to see Kevin Smith hang on to Muse as he did, and to see where they're at today, I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful uh, it's a beautiful podcast to listen to. But then once you're like past those initial episodes, and then you get into like, you're like a dozen in or so. I forget how many episodes in, but it just becomes like the two of them. They get done talking about all that stuff, and then they move forward, and then they just talk about stuff, and it's Jay and Silent Bob get old, and that's the whole point of the series and things like that. So, and then I tuned out. I stopped listening, just because I'm listening to so many podcasts and things like that. I mean, if you watch my streams, you know that I'm always just putting shit on in the background. Well, because I always have things to listen to, it's like I really have to pick what I listen to, and yeah, that was just one that fell by the wayside. But I'm forever grateful for those beginning episodes, because they just showed me something that was nothing but a fantasy um, in my mind. And for well, and so if you watch me now, like I'm always listening to Fat Man Beyond and things like that, and I started listening to it way back when. So now I listen to it, and yeah, it's still a big fan, and that's just the way that I show my appreciation for it. Is I'll stick and I'll listen to all the bullshit, because there's always little nuggets of something there, and it's valuable to me. It may not be so to other people, but that's fine. Like, we all like what we like, and yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm such a big Kevin Smith fan. Sometimes I get tired of him, but then you get reminded. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. How dare I forget the beautiful nature of his kindness and friendship and everything like that he's had, that I wish I had. Um, but yeah, Jay and Silent Bob get old. Go back and listen to the beginning episodes. I forget how many until it ends, but just keep listening from one on, and one day you'll figure out, oh yeah, they're not talking about that old drug shit no more, and now they're just talking about current shit. And maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know, but definitely those first beginning episodes are beautiful, especially if you want to witness friendship persevere through struggles of drugs and addiction and things like that. But I'm gonna let this shit rock.
Weed, it was tough for me to kind of like, and weed is innocent. We all know how fucking weed is nothing. Most people
At
don't
worst,
do that.
it's a will killer.
Yeah. For some, and
No,
for
no, no,
me,
that's
it,
right.
it
That's
blew
true.
my will up. Well, I think what it was I decided to tie it to productivity because I looked at all my heroes and all like Tennyson,
Yeah.
fucking, you know, it went down to drugs more than once. And ultimately, I don't know what the car wreck was about, but somebody said that wasn't that involved in something.
Well, I mean, you know, Sam, the weird thing about stand-up and then doing what you do is like, you know, all the kernels of creativity we're looking for, you know, really are like 3 to 4 minute pieces.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, really, you know, as a comic, you know, who's fucked up and sleeping all day, you know, if you wake up and, you know, you spend 4 hours, maybe you don't get nothing for a week, but if you get on stage one night, you know, out of your week of like doing nothing but getting fucked up, and you get one new bit, you've done your work. I mean, I would think that, you know, somebody like you who's got to write scripts and, you know, draw up storyboards and, you know, call people,
Right.
it's a lot more responsibility. So
There is, but I mean, the beautiful thing about that job is, like anything else, it's top-down position. Everyone supports your job.
but the interesting
Your
thing,
job, you just basically have
Right.
to say yes or no to people, or to point them in a direction. Everyone else is doing the.
you're like a
hard
leader.
work.
You got to
Yeah.
act. You're in production.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I brought up Sam was primarily because I was thinking about it before, and I knew, I don't know how I knew, you must have said it somewhere that you sort of wore the trench coat of Silent
did,
Bob
yeah.
as a kind
As
of,
an ode to Sam
an
Kinison.
ode to
I
Sam
wore a trench coat throughout high school. I had a big Sam Kinison poster on my wall. He did this weird, I mean, probably before anybody realized who he was and what his comedy was about, he did this stay in school, read kind of in-school poster thing for this in-school scholastic system. And I guess they tapped him right before he fucking broke. So they were like, here's an upcoming comic. And it was just, you know,
they're like, let's take those posters down.
Yes, and I got one. I was like, I'll fucking take that. I like this guy.
Yeah.
And him in the trench coat on Saturday Night Live, like, I mean, I think I'd seen him.
Well, that was wild to see him on TV because he operated. He was so visceral
Yeah.
and so like, you know, kind of, you know, electric that he almost didn't fit on fucking television.
He
It was like-
literally like just fucking took the stage
Yeah.
and choked it down.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I was a huge comic nerd. Like,
Yeah.
I was a Bill Cosby guy.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
a Carlin guy, and I was a Red Fox guy. And I
And
was
Sam
a
just
Bob Newhart guy.
erased it.
Suddenly Sam was just like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
is, it was like punk rock comedy.
No, definitely,
Like, it was painful. It came from a really awesome, painful place. Like, you can't talk about relationships.
Came from an angry place, certainly. And I guess
Yeah.
beneath the anger is pain. But why I brought him up was because, you know, when I was with him, you know, I spent a lot of fucking hours, you know, doing blow with that guy and talking to that guy.
Right.
Because he liked the whole court. And, you know, there was this, he'd gone back, you know, he comes from a family of ministers.
Right.
And he'd gone back home after he'd been in LA a while before he made it and preached, you know, and he played a tape of that preaching, of him preaching, and it was really kind of weird as his sort of fall became more defined, and he was preaching about his guitar being stolen and how it affected, and it was sort of weird and not quite. And then, like, later as I talked to him, he talked about, like, you know, I could have went to the satellite station. Like, it was interesting to me that there was always this business model in his mind, even about his relationship with God. But then, as he got older and as I talked to him more, I don't think he ever stopped believing. I really think that at the end, well, he knew.
I mean, there's a story. I don't know if this story is true, but when he died, apparently his dying words were like he was speaking to.
Sure.
I mean, everyone says, "Oh, people see lights," and they just mutter. But
Yeah, he's always
he was
without that.
calling, and he was saying, "Not yet, no, not yet." Like,
Yeah, because he probably needed time to ask for forgiveness. Because I really think that he was the kind of guy that knew, okay, here are the terms. I know these terms better than anybody. I can recite the Bible. I know what the deal is. And if I ask for God's forgiveness at that last minute, if I ask for Jesus, you know, to save me, I can get in still.
Right.
So I think his whole disposition was like, I'm going to push the envelope on this.
Had my cake and eat it.
Yeah, and then get in under the wire.
Especially if he had done time on the Lord's behalf already. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You put in enough years on the Lord's behalf, I guess he must have felt like,
Sure.
hey, fucking do some R&R, man.
Right. So getting back to Jason and the idea of Scientology,
Yeah.
and what makes you,
Well, in
not,
that instance, let me finish it that way back there. I had a joke in the script for Doggy.
Yeah.
And it said, one of the characters, the Loki character, said, what incurs the Lord's wrath these days? I think Barbara said that. Then Loki said, I don't know, Scientology?
Yeah.
And Jason had called me up and he was like, look, I can't do this movie if that Joe's going to be there. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm a Scientologist. It's just, we take enough shit already. And it's just like, to have a joke, kind of poked at their expense.
Oh,
I was
pussy.
like, buddy, man, don't worry about it. Like, your friendship means more to me than a dopey joke. Man.
Yeah.
Took it out. He didn't wind up playing that role. He went and did another movie instead. But then he came back.
He did the
He did a different part.
Yeah.
The Azrael part.
Yeah.
But that joke never made the flip because of that. Now, at the same time, like, did it hurt the movie? No. Would it have changed one fucking thing about Dogma? No. But years later, I sit there going like, well, at least you were a good friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, considering that dude's feelings to some degree.
But what's interesting to me is that, being a thoughtful person that you are, and given the friendship, and clearly he's not ashamed of his position in that organization, that, how do you approach that as an intellectual person and as somebody who's critical of mind fucking system?
Because I can't expect him. I mean, I'm literally, I still represent as Christian. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he's like, all right, Kevin, you want to criticize my fucking sci-fi god? How about your school Jewish carpenter with the nails, the fire out of his fucking hands?
So they're both comic books.
That's, at the end of the day, I've always kind of given him the same consideration he's always given me, which is never to sit me down and be like, your religion's full of shit, right? And he's like, yeah, well, I guess.
So you acknowledge it then? You're willing to give it some sort of, what's just a new version of structuring a religion?
Which one?
Scientology.
Absolutely, I guess. It's not my religion to comment on.
Right.
It is, but yeah.
I'm not talking about him. I'm just talking about in general.
In general.
Because you're one of the few people that, people don't talk necessarily about religion, but he's sort of, been outed as a Scientologist, and you guys are buddies, and you honor the friendship over the argument about it, and you don't really talk about it. He's just a normal guy.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, when you say other Scientology, I've had maybe 2 discussions about Scientology with Jason because, like, he read Dogma. He knows where I stand on my own religion. What chance does his have?
So is your connection to your religion now more just tradition?
Absolutely. And then also just, I was indoctrinated. I'm not saying that in a horrible way, like, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Do you believe in hell?
Yes. Oh, of course.
Really?
Yeah. But it depends, day to day. Some days I'm like, I'm with Scott Moser. Nothing happens when it ends because that feels more comforting.
Yeah.
Than the notion of
He's a Jew?
No, he's one of those cats. It's like I'm nothing, man. You guys are all crazy. But for me, I'm more hopeful there's a heaven than scared there's a hell. I guess.
Doesn't heaven seem a little boring?
Yeah, it does. I mean, look, the older I get, when I was younger, I could defend it wholeheartedly. Like, no, man, heaven's awesome because it's ice cream forever. But the older you get, the more you're just like,
that doesn't do anybody any good. Ice cream forever.
I don't know, man. I'm still down with that. But no, the older I get, there are days, Mark, where I'm just like, oh man, thank God I didn't waste my whole fucking life on that faith.
Right.
And then there are days where I'm like, I'm at night in bed. I hear it's dark throughout the house. I hear the rising, falling breath of my wife next to me.
Yeah.
I live in what I would consider a mansion,
Yes.
especially considering where I came from. And all is right with the world, at least for that moment in time. And I still pray. I'll still sit there and give thanks and beg not to be killed in the night.
Yeah.
And beg to live to be a happy, healthy, old. I mean, I know the game's rigged. I'm going to lose eventually, but it's just like I want to run the score up as much as possible.
Doesn't end well for anybody.
No.
It's all very predictable.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, but it's like the career of any great athlete.
But that's
you
sort of
watch them shine for a while, but
Sure.
sooner or later, everything goes.
And I think that realization is a sign of a mature person. Is it, sort of acknowledging your limitations, what your skills are, working within them, not judging yourself against other people all the time, live in misery.
Well, I mean, the best, I've talked about a little bit on our podcast fairly recently, but my wife is one of these yoga broads and shit. And at one point,
Yoga broads.
Rooms in the house into a yoga cave, I don't know what they're called, but she bought some wall hangings.
Yeah.
And from like a Buddhist type stores and whatnot. And one hung on the wall forever. Never really noticed it until this year when I looked at it and processed it. And it said, "May you realize your divinity in this lifetime." And it just sounded like a yoga thing for years, hanging on the wall. And then only recently I was like, "Oh, I get this." Yeah, like that is the greatest blessing in this world. If you can truly realize your own divinity in this lifetime, treat yourself with some goddamn reverence.
Yeah, that's true. Self-love is not a bad thing.
Oh, not a bad thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm not wired to do it.
I know, but
I mean,
the weed in a big way. Yeah, so I'm not one of these dudes that I hate myself. I'm a big fan shameful how big of a Kevin Smith fan I am. I'm the biggest Kevin Smith fan on the planet.
Come on.
Totally. If I was not Kevin Smith, I would be the guy leading his fan club, maybe killing him, you know, in a jealous rage or something. I love the shit Kevin Smith's into and that he's done. Like, I like the shit he says. I'm a big fan of that character.
And it is a fairly well-defined character. It seems that you put effort into defining it.
And I try to change it all the time. It's like, look, I've looked at people who went before me. Now that I got my foot in the door or something, and it's been in 20 years, now I feel relatively okay and secure, safe now. First 15 years of career, you're always like, I better keep dancing and figure me out. But once I got in, I spread my shit like herpes and just made sure I was in a bunch of spinning plates.
Right.
So film is one thing. Over here, I like to get up on stage, talk to people. That's another thing. Over here, now we do this podcast.
Yeah.
Over here, comic books.
Sure.
Over here, cartoons. I like to spread it all
I
around.
talked to Rollins is like that.
Oh, I realized very quickly.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do for a living. I want to be paid to like make pretend,
To
be
be me.
silly, be me. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the.
Well, I think that-
better than that fucking realize your own divinity in this lifetime. Get paid to be you in this lifetime.
Yeah, I believe you. That's all I've been trying to do.
It gets no better than that because
No.
we're gonna fucking die. That's it. You can't stop that. So you might as well make what happens before that as comfortable as possible.
Well,
What's more comfortable than like being
Being
paid to
yourself.
be you?
Well, I mean, but then let's talk about like before I get past it, I just want to reflect on that moment that you were laying in bed and it was quiet and you're at Hollywood Hills home and all you hear is your wife's breath. I mean, that is one of those those perfect sort of I'm alive, quiet moments where either you have a choice there where you can either go like, fuck, it's gonna be over so soon and this is all there is, but you choose
I
gratitude.
used to do that. I used to be the fuck it's gonna be over so soon.
Panic.
Yeah, and now, but I'm stoner, and
Right.
now I'm just like, whenever I feel that come in, even if I mean, number one, whenever I start to feel that come in, I can just light a joint and be like, goodbye. But even if I'm not smoking, whenever I feel panic, doubt, all that negativity kind of jump up, because that's creative, right?
Right.
It's like, hasn't happened yet, so
Right.
it's fictional. We
Right.
all work ourselves up about a fiction.
Right.
I'm a writer, so I can identify reality from fiction. But
Yeah.
I don't let myself get out of sorts about shit that hasn't come to pass yet. No saying you can't be prepared for some shit, but it's like getting all that out of sorts about like an event that hasn't even
Well,
occurred.
that's it. Like, most of the time what you're reacting to, if you're freaking out,
It's a dream.
It's your head.
Yeah,
It's
proving
it's
you're
your
a
head.
great writer right then and
Yeah.
there. And the world is full of great writers because think of all the stress we all live with, and all of that stress it's a fiction. I mean, yes, there's financial
It's a fiction,
stress,
but
blah, blah,
that
blah.
means everybody would write the same book and it'd be called I'm Fucked.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and a lot of people fucking do.
Of
man.
course.
But it's like you can be, and that's it. We're all fucked. So
Yeah.
you can choose to be fucked, or you can just fucking fight your way out the ghetto as hard as you can. Like we know we're gonna wind up in the fucking death camp. We've seen the fucking. We read the books.
I mean, it doesn't
Fight.
camp.
Well, it's like you can't. Like I saw Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Schindler's Toy Boxes, I
Yeah,
call it.
yeah.
That movie fucking made me okay with my own death because I'm watching these puppets heading toward the furnace, man, and they are reacting like I would, which
Right.
is just like, whose dick do I gotta suck to stop, man? I don't want to go. And finally, they just calm down and hold each other's hands, and they're just like, fuck it, we had our shot. We're together at least.
That's interesting that revelation, after it's been documented in Holocaust movies for the last 50 years, you got through Toy Story.
That's what I got to do. That's a sign of great art.
Well, let's talk about this idea of being all that you can be and brand Kevin Smith and fucking sort of embracing as much as possible.
Yeah.
Well, how did the compromise? You've made compromises in your career.
Yeah.
You've had disappointments in your career.
Yeah, oh, God.
So I mean, how does the vessel hold up in light of that? Or
Well, I
what's
mean, it
happened?
depends. What I figured out was
Like the last movie. Let's talk about Cop Out.
Yes, yes.
I mean, this was the movie
Oh,
that
Cop
you
Out, so this is
didn't
kind of
like.
old, huh?
That's why I was kind of bulletproof at the end of the day.
Right.
Like I felt like, well, this isn't a quote unquote Kevin Smith film. I don't write this. I'm directing this. For years, I've been told by.
Did you have to rationalize that though?
To some degree. I mean,
Okay, good.
It was,
Yeah.
when it was presented to me, it was
Yeah.
the right time.
Yeah.
I was coming off of Zack and Miri. Zack and Miri should have done a lot better than it did.
What do you think happened?
Bad marketing, bad titles, bad whatever, bad date, all fucking Halloween.
You had your funny guy.
We had the fucking funny guy.
Yeah.
And that took the wind out of my sails.
Seth
big
Rogen,
time. Yeah. Giving Seth his first commercial disappointment was that fucking killed me because I was a huge Seth Rogen fan.
Yeah.
You don't never want to be the guy who fucking tarnishes
Takes the shit.
at all. You know, I mean, thankfully, fucking Observer Report would do that way better. Like a couple months later, but for a while there, I was just like, how could I have done this? Like, because I believe in that guy in a big bad fucking way. But it hit me hard because that movie was supposed to do 50 or more, and it wound up just doing the standard.
But what does that look like, though? I mean, what does it look like to hit you? I mean, what was going through your head? I mean,
What was going on through my head?
Were you wandering around your house yelling
I
at
was.
the walls?
No. But what I remember, I woke up the morning of the opening, and I'd started smoking weed on a regular basis a couple months before.
Yeah.
July, and we opened in October 31st. This is a couple months later. And I first had started like, I'm gonna start smoking like once, at night, like 8 o'clock at night, once all my work's done and shit like that.
Take the edge off.
Yeah, watch a movie.
Old school.
I did that for like 2 days. I was like, fucking, I'll wait till 8 o'clock for it.
Yeah,
I got
right.
nothing to do, man. So let's roll that back. And it became 2. Then it was like noon. No, nothing before. It'd be shameful to get high before noon. Morning that Zach and Mary opened up.
Yeah.
Saturday morning we get the grosses and shit.
Yeah.
The number is 2.2 million.
Yeah.
Now,
For
you
the first
factor
weekend.
that by 3 for the Friday, just the
Okay.
Friday. So you times that by 3 projecting ahead, it ain't even gonna make 10 million.
Right.
It ain't even gonna make 7.
Right.
At that point, I was ready to fucking put a gun in my mouth. That was the moment I looked at my wife. I was just like, I'm going to smoke, and I became a wakened baker. So I was like 6 in the morning.
So it came out of the stress of failure.
Yeah, but to me, self-perceived though.
Sure,
At the end of the
I
day,
get it,
that movie did well. Like they made money
It's
off the
fine,
Weinstein
yeah.
Company, and it did the standard Kevin Smith 30 million, did a little bit more.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like we didn't spend a lot making it. It wasn't. But me, that was supposed to be the 100 million. That was supposed to be this is going to do the Apatow money right
Right.
now, man. So I was like, oh shit, you got everybody saying that, and the Apatow guy is saying, hey, I'm going to be in this, so it must be the fucking Apatow money type vehicle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
I think
I got Apatow's guy.
yeah, I got Apatow's guy. I got Apatow's fucking formula, which was kind of my formula, but whatever,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
now it's been made commercial.
Yeah.
Let's give this a roll. And it just didn't happen. For whatever I can sit here and be like, marketing was this. And look, the audience just wasn't quite there.
And you.
But it still, at the same time, it did what it was exactly designed to do for everybody else. For me, I had higher
So
aspirations.
that was the moment in that dark night of the soul, the morning after the
I went
Friday.
into my library with those 2.2 numbers. Ultimately, it opened at 10 million.
Yeah.
So apparently it bumped a little better on Saturday. But I went into the library, which was my office at that point, and kind of became a wake and baker. And for the next 3-4 months, I stayed off the internet. I couldn't go near the internet because I was like, I've ruined Seth Rogen. Like
You
everyone
just
on the
didn't want to
internet.
take the hit.
Oh, I was gonna go out. I was gonna enter the internet that morning. People were like, "You fucking fat piece of shit! You ruined Rogan for us. He
Yeah.
was all we had."
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I stayed off the internet.
Yeah.
And that created an incredible fucking growth of time to watch shit.
Yeah.
And I just started watching a lot of hockey videos and whatnot. And in that moment, that's when I got the call to do Cont. A script was sent to me.
So your movie in your mind had tanked.
Yeah.
You committed your life to pot because you didn't want to feel the pain and self-inflicted criticism of the aftermath of your movie tanking.
Yeah.
And
There's no point in being not high.
right, and then the devil calls.
Yes. And that's when the devil did call. I hadn't even noticed. It was so obvious I couldn't even call it. But I knew the devil was calling. When the devil called, I was like, show me your dick. I was really
Ready to go.
Well, I had a plan at that point. By the time the devil called me, I'd already smoked enough weed and kind of been reorganizing. I had the script for Red State was already locked and ready to go. It's just I needed to find money for it. I had a plan lined up, which only fucking in about 2 weeks everyone gets to see. But I had to get in there. As much as I'm not going to say like.
Damn, this is before or after Red State?
Yeah. It wasn't barely a job. I took an 84% pay cut to make that movie. I made less. Yes, I made less to make Cop Out than I did to make Dogma in 1998.
So why'd you do it?
I wanted to work with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
That to me was like, wow, I love Bruce Willis. I'm a huge Bruce Willis fan. If I was making a Bruce Willis movie and my father was alive, then he would be like, oh, you do make movies.
Yeah. This isn't just a stupid thing.
Yeah, it's not just you and your buddy talking about Star Wars. It's talking about Blade.
Yeah.
So there was that. I needed to understand marketing really well for some shit that I got coming up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get inside. I'd seen marketing from the Miramax set very intimately. And for years heard Harvey Weinstein go like, well, a studio's 40 million is my 20. Like I can do with 20 what they can do with 40 and shit. So I saw what he can do with 20, 40, and less.
I'll tell you,
over
honestly,
time.
I might make an argument that marketing of Cop Out might have diminished your ticket sales. Because that billboard was fucking everywhere, and I gotta be honest with you, Kevin. I mean, I looked at that billboard and I said, I've already seen that movie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there was nothing about that poster that was screamed like, "Holy shit!" This
Am I
is
right?
original. But to be fair,
Yeah.
nothing about the movie was. The whole movie is an homage picture. It's not one of those spoof movies,
Right.
But it's definitely an homage picture. We just wanted to make an '80s
Beverly Hills Cop.
It had to look like
Right.
something you've seen before. At least that's what I hope they get there.
Right.
But I know the real story. The one guy wouldn't even sit for a fucking poster shoot. So essentially, they have to go like, okay, we
You
got
gotta
one
mention
guy
the names
who
all
will.
of a sudden?
Everybody knows
All
who
right.
it is. It ain't. Let me put it this way. Remember the really funny guy in the movie? It ain't him. He's a fucking dream. Tracy Morgan. I would lay down in traffic for the rest of my life for Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
Because were it not for Tracy, I might have killed either myself or someone else in the making of fucking.
So you were disappointed.
Beyond disappointed. It was. Look,
Because that's why you went into the movie.
One of the main reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, look, while I was there, I was able to accomplish everything else I needed to accomplish, and as much as learn about marketing, understand how to work on a team with others and shit.
And you know what? Obviously, you were given the gift of not having to tell your dad that Bruce Willis was a dick.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's that. But let me tell you, I'm sure he knew. He knew from the fucking jump. I wish he just could have communicated to me from the actor. Yeah, it was tough. It was difficult, dude. I've never been involved in a situation like that where one component does not come.
He's not in it.
It's not in the box at all.
Yeah.
It's not.
He's just doing a job so he can get by.
I've heard of. Yeah. It was fucking soul.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
Really, but again, that's not a lot of people are really just trying to blame the movie on him. No, but look, I had no fucking help from this dude whatsoever.
But the sad part of that story on a personal level is as a kid who grew up in New Jersey, who loved fucking Bruce Willis, and you get this big opportunity and you get disappointed by your fucking hero. I mean, that is really the worst moment, and it's something that you're probably going to have to do again, given the business that you're in.
No, he changed everything for me, though.
No, I just mean meeting people that you
No, but
respect.
that's the thing. I'm saying he changed that for me, because now I'll never meet anybody. Like, that was it. I was just like,
Shattered.
like, yeah, forget it. Like, I'd rather like people from a distance.
So then after you made that movie where you set your alarm to wake up to smoke pot in the middle of the night, so you
Yeah.
wake up hot,
Yeah, so I could just be. Well, at that point, I've been smoking so much.
I knew a guy in college who did that.
I'm just a THC. Like, it's always going through my body, so I'm fine.
Well, you seem like you're
I'm
almost.
also a functioning stoner.
No, I know, but it almost seems like you're talking about it with a nearly religious reverence.
Yeah, well,
That is
stoner?
yeah, that is.
Oh,
That's
this
what
will change
changed
your
your life.
life. Such an insane.
Really, at this point in your life, that's amazing.
It really. I'm a firm believer. I advocate smoking weed to everybody as soon as they reach age 38 and they've built something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think if I
So you don't
found
fall
this
into
shit
the
when I was-
pit.
Yeah, if I found this when I was a kid, I wouldn't have left the house.
Well, I mean,
it would have been this and masturbation.
And comic books.
Fuck that! This and masturbation. I don't need to be imagining dudes and kinks. Like, I would just go, women everywhere, 3 ladies at once.
Yeah.
That kind of shit.
Well, I guess it's a gift because given that, well, it is also interesting to me that when I asked you to come over, you asked me if it was okay if you smoke here, and I said I didn't smoke. You're like, oh shit, are you a friend of Bill?
Well, hey, I didn't want to. Well, I mean, I got sober friends, so I didn't.
Well, I know, but I got a lot of sobriety, but it's just interesting that, my frame of mind is being a guy that smoked pot every day,
Mhm.
and, and knowing my nature, it just, my outlook on it, I certainly appreciate what you're saying, because I had the same experience, but like, I just know that, to my core, there's a compulsive nature that is designed to avoid me at every turn.
Right.
How do I get out of me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the agenda here. It's like, I feel squirrely. I know I didn't want to feel squirrely.
Tell me about the coke, though, man. Like,
Yeah.
what was? I'm not a coke guy.
Well, you don't need to start that one.
No, I would never be that dude. But it's like I know what weed does for me.
Well, the coke thing was like, weed for me was like cigarettes.
Drinking a lot of yoo-hoo?
No, I think coke for me, to really say, it served the same purpose. Is that, like, I could do 2 lines, and also, like, you get into a sort of rodent mind with that shit. You're like,
Explain.
well, I mean, like, when I wanted to do coke, like, you sort of get up that day and be like, I gotta call the guy. When the fuck is he gonna be open? How am I gonna get my shit? Because, you can't
That's
hold.
like Muse with the heroin.
Right, you can't hold on to coke.
Most of your time looking for.
Well, that's what addiction does, and the great thing about pot is that, if you get a nice bag, you're good. You know you're good. You can only smoke so much pot. But with dope and coke, I mean, you're going to burn through that shit. Your tolerance builds up. You need more shit. It's a lot more expensive than other shit, and also the price you're paying on a karmic and soul level is a lot higher.
Explain the karma soul thing.
Well, because, you get into something, certainly, I mean, your friend would know better than me because dope will take you down to a lower tier.
And it has, but he's one of those dudes, fucking $1 million heart, nickel head, $1 million
Well,
heart.
most
Even at his
junkies,
worst, junkie
most
is.
of us we get into the racket because we're hypersensitive. We can't fucking, a good heart is a sensitive heart. And a heart that's too sensitive, can't quite handle the shit. You can't handle reality. After a certain point, you get the kind of relief that drug in particular, or even coke or anything offers you. Why wouldn't you do that? Because then you don't have to live with that sort of weird pain of not fitting in and feeling other people's feelings and that kind of shit.
This fucking, for me, weed just fucking turns it all up. Weed turns.
Well, it embraces the
yes.
sensitivity.
Like
Yes.
suddenly it turns on every nerve ending.
Well, the karmic level I'm talking about is that when you're doing hard drugs and depending, you're not usually dealing with a high class of people.
Right.
That and once you start entering that world, it is its own world. And it's a criminal world, and the possibilities of you being on the wrong end of a bullet or at the end of a bad as a hot shot. And then also the compromises you make for what you will do to get drugs. Your moral barometer gets way fucked up depending on your economic situation. So that's really what I meant by that.
Right.
But the thing that coke gave me is that, and I smoke pot like people smoke cigarettes. I was a daily pot smoker. And I was not like one of these sort of guys sitting around smoking coke or buying kilos or anything, have that kind of money. But if I could do a bulk, like at 7 or 8 at night, before I go on stage or go to a party or something, I just wouldn't be thinking like, oh God, I'm fucking uncomfortable. This sucks. I'd be thinking like, I'm fucking here. Let's do this.
We're all here, aren't we?
Yeah. But I also got kind of angry and righteous, and the bitterness didn't go away. But I was more of a confident bitter.
Right. Where you're like,
Yeah.
it goes from righteousness to self-righteousness.
Oh, real quick. But I also want to say, like, in the sense of, like, how you're sort of a born-again stoner, I mean, is there any connection you make? And this is not a guy in recovery talking to you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is there any sense, given your issues with food in the past,
Yeah.
and given the way that you deal with disappointment and your own anger, which I assume is there, though you seem to hide it pretty well.
Just that angry. I'm really.
But, I mean, was there a point where you sensed that food and pot and these things were filling a void as opposed to being proactive?
Food was, will always be. I'm a very sedentary person. I don't have a sport of choice that
Uh-huh.
like I can go out and do fairly regularly, or that I would go out and do fairly regularly. I'm not an exercise guy. I never have been, and I wasn't raised to eat properly. My parents, by the time I rolled around, literally, they were just like, I'm gonna force you to eat fucking vegetables. If he's getting money in, fine. Don't.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
raise 2 kids, they're fine.
Oh, so you're never like a compulsive eater, like, give me a third pint.
No, we didn't have enough money to do that. We were lower middle class.
I mean, as
you know,
an
we
older
were
guy,
government cheese.
as a grown-up?
As a grown up, I'll kill a box of cereal too in the city.
Yeah.
Like I made up for all the years of really not like we go to the grocery store. Can we get Cheerios? Like no, you get toasted oats. The food store brand toasted.
To the bag.
The bag, yes.
Oh, so you got
The humiliating fucking bag. That the moment it goes up on the fucking belt, anybody in the vicinity goes.
So that's interesting. So a lot of this comes from, because my father's the same way, my father's wife's the same way. They're literally hoarders.
Yeah,
Because
come to my house. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a backward.
it's almost like a reaction against poverty.
Yeah, I would say, and again, we weren't like, my parents
What's your
weren't
own
fighting
name?
off racks with fucking forks and shit. He worked for the post office.
So he had a pension though, and
Yes and no. He wound up retiring without, he gave it up. He didn't also, for some strange reason, they didn't take out fucking Social Security. It was such a weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very strange.
Was
But
he a postal?
No, he was the guy canceling your stamps. He was a sectional essentially. So
Okay.
he wasn't out there, friendly postal dude.
Did you ever go to work with your dad and go, holy shit?
Only outside the building, and he would never let us in. My father hated work. That was the greatest impact in my life. Was not my father ever sitting me down and saying, "Go into anything other than the post office," but watching him go to work every night. He worked the night shift, and he would go to work. He'd wake up like 9 o'clock and bitch until 10 o'clock when he left. Start his work at 11 o'clock where he worked. Leave at 7 in the morning, come home, see us, and then he'd go to sleep. We'd go to school. We'd come back from school. He'd just be getting up. Have a few hours during the day to hang out, take me to the movie, shit like that. Then he'd have to go to bed like 6, 7 o'clock again.
That's up doing morning radio.
Yeah, and then he'd wake up at fucking 9
And he was
o'clock, and he would hate it. He would just beg my mother, like, call in for me. Please call in for me. And she was just like, she used to do it, and then she'd go, you just call in. He was too terrified. He couldn't pick up the phone. And
Yeah.
But, you know, you were just like, hello? And they're like, yeah. I was like, I'm calling in for Don Smith. They're like, yeah, okay, fine. That's it. And I'm like, why wouldn't he? They wouldn't even know if it was him or not. He was such a chicken shit. But he'd be like, please call in for me. He hated working. He had such a sense of responsibility. He had the wife and the 3 kids and shit like that. So he did the job, but he hated it so much. And he would try to get away from it as often as possible. Like, and he had strokes because of it and retired early. He hated work, man. That made a big impact on me. Where I was like, okay, I get it.
But is there ever a point where
I
you're
don't
like,
want to do that.
why do you go?
Yeah,
I mean,
because he's like, who else is
was
like,
he
who
just
else did it
miserable?
better? Yeah, he hated the job, but he was from that fucking school of thought. Like our parents, dude, it was like, you get it unless you were fucking to the man or born, you get a goddamn job, you have a wife and 3 kids and a little house,
Right.
that's your American dream. And he was happy with his dream part of it. He just hated having to work.
But he didn't take it home. He was happy to be
Never.
home.
That was home was paradise, and like, and now the older I get, the more I understand about him. Like, he was sitting in his room, he was a big country music fan. God knows why, because we were all from New Jersey. But he would sit in his room and just play. He started George Jones and Sammy Wynette and Willie
Well,
Nelson.
if anything's going to make you feel better about your misery, it's George
I
Jones.
guess so, man. Okay. He stopped loving her today, probably one of the 3 most depressive songs ever.
Oh shit.
But he would sit there and listen to song. My father was not.
I've been forgetting to take
He was
pictures.
singing at the top of his lungs and shit, caterwauling. And only now, as I'm 40, like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like, that was his. I just used to zone out.
Yeah.
He didn't have a podcast.
Yeah.
He couldn't express himself in a fucking movie or this, that, or the other thing. Like, he just shut himself into a room with records and fucking sing. That's how he let it all out.
Did he live long enough to see any of your success?
Yeah, oh, very much so. He died right before Jersey goes. So some people would argue that he died right before he saw any of the failure. He loved it though. He did see Jersey Girl. He dedicated a movie to him. But yeah, he was a great guy. We had a fantastic relationship, and he was a pretty good relationship. Like, I never really much of him at the end of the day.
But you never fought.
Never. I was never like, come on, you piece of shit up
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
Some of my friends, me, not at all. I was not that guy. I saw my father slip and fall with something of a pushing fight with a neighbor once,
Yeah.
and it was fucking mortifying.
That's horrifying.
I knew I would have beat him. I mean, like, in that moment, I always suspected, like, I can take my old man if I have to. In that way, you think, I guess, at a certain, when you're a teenager and they get loud with you at a certain point.
But it's weird because I did some poker on the internet. Like, my family's from Jersey. Well, my mother's from Pompton Lakes and Bergen County. Yeah, and my old man's from Jersey City. But my aunt, who I've been to a lot, is in Oakhurst. So, like, you know, when I
Sorry.
I look where you came from. I mean, I used to spend summers. We go to Asbury Park.
Yeah.
We go to Deal Beach.
Yes, it was
My-
right by there.
Yeah,
I'm
my grandparents lived right on the fucking boardwalk in that. There was a building like at the end of the boardwalk in the 70s that was just, it was almost the tallest building there, and the boardwalk had already died, and there was old people lived there, and my grandparents
They
lived
were
there.
in that haunted
So,
place, that
yeah.
spooky fucking old.
Right, but I remember, I'm old enough to remember my grandparents taking me there when that fucking little, that little boat ride worked, and the casino.
What year were you born?
63.
Alright, so I'm 70, so you got 7 years now.
Right, so like when I was like
Yeah,
5
most
or
of that
6.
shit was gone by the time I was fucking of age. Like, I remember the Paramount, the thing you could walk through,
Yeah.
still had some games operating.
Right.
When I was a kid, and now it was
The
just
casino building?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And then I went back there like years later. It was
But
just
even
like,
then, it was spooky.
yeah, it's
We
spooky.
shot chasing me into that. We got a great deal at that big hotel. You know, like, who was it, Johnny Cash on that hotel? Or somebody of influence, some country western guy. I think it was Johnny Cash.
Maybe that's why he's had like the music.
To go to that hotel. But that hotel, it was at Berkeley Carteret. It's called. It's a massive old fucking hotel that was down in Asbury Park, where lots of famous people had stayed back when it was a jewel and the crown of the show.
Yeah.
Like that. They gave us this massive ballroom to shoot these chasing Amy comic book convention sequences at. And that hotel dude was like walking through the fucking Overlook Hotel in the Shire.
Sure, yeah,
You just
yeah.
expected 2 little twin girls at any moment to be around.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's some weird deteriorating woman in the bathtub. Perhaps Scatman Crothers.
Or some dude like using racial slurs in the bathroom, making you feel uncomfortable. You don't know what to say.
I mean, there's something that New Jersey creates. And were you very aware of creating a definable comedy team that you would, have as much legs as you decided?
Those 2 cats, I put him in because I always thought he was really funny. He was a dude I knew from town. And he played the character, his character's name pretty much after.
Right.
I always thought he was funny. I was like, somebody should put him in a movie.
Right.
somebody named Silent Bob, wasn't necessarily me. I wanted to play Randall, the guy that Jeff Anderson plays in the movie. That's why Randall's got all the best jokes.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't memorize these lines. This is truly takes some performance and stuff. So I was like, well, if it's the only movie I'm gonna make, I'd at least like to be in it as well.
Right.
So I was like, I could take Silent Bob, which I give it to a friend of mine, because he doesn't have any lines to read. And I'll look good standing next to Muse. Muse thin. I'm the opposite of Muse. And I can wear my trench coat. And badass. So yeah, I'll do that.
But
So
it
I
is
just
sort of a classic comedy theme.
I never thought about it. That
Yeah.
wasn't the intention. Wasn't the
Right,
anything
right.
like it. It was only like after people started seeing it and talking about it. Like I remember, I forget who it was. Wasn't even me. I think it was some French journalist who was the first one that was like. These two, they're like CPPO and R2D2 of your Star Wars. And at that point, I was like, I'm not supposed to say that. That's so smart. You know? Yes, of course. I always knew that. They're going to be seen through the eyes of J. Bob, just like the Star Wars side was seen through the eyes of the droids or something like that.
How do you feel as what's your confidence level as an actor?
It's okay. I mean, if I can play me, I can do a good job. Like I was in this movie called Catch and Release, where I had the killer part. It's just all the fucking go-to jokes. And shit like that. And I played me. Like I was, I don't know what else to do. I just played me. And every review said that I played Jack Black, which I was kind of insulted by.
Yeah.
Because then I was like, maybe Jack Black's been playing me all this time.
Huh? Let me do another Bond yet. Spin that around for a while.
Yeah, I'll dance with that. I could do 3 podcasts about that.
9 hours later, it's like, I am Jack Black. I got a calling. So, but Jersey, like, Jersey gets such a bad rap, and I spent a lot of time. I remember when the Paramus Park Mall opened.
Oh my God.
I remember
I worked at the Paramus Park Mall for 2 weekends.
When I was a kid, I'd go to my grandma's in Pompton Lakes, and we'd always go to Willowbrook. And then all of a sudden, there's a new fucking kid on the block. There's Paramus Park.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, there was this promotion. My grandmother said, and upstairs they have food from around the world. And that was
a veritable food court.
Right, but that was when it was kind of invented.
Yeah.
It was at Paramus Park Mall.
Yeah.
Now, New Jersey, in my recollection, New Jersey was like always weirdly hot.
Only New Jersey are people like, let's go eat foreign cuisine.
Right.
At the mall.
Yeah, but it was really marketed as something spectacular. But I remember it was
Like when people used to fly in suits.
Can you imagine getting on those planes and traveling across the
I
country?
can't imagine getting onto a plane at all this year. They kept kicking me the fuck off.
I heard about that. I just flew your favorite airline.
How was it? Well, you're
All right.
right, so it's no problem.
Yeah, but you're not. You must have been heavier.
No, I was pretty much this size. Dude, it was a bullshit. You know what it was? It
Well,
was
you should explain it for people who listen to my show that may not know. That you were kicked off a plane on Southwest Airlines because you couldn't fit into the seat.
yes, that's what they said.
Right.
Wasn't true.
Right.
I mean, they literally pulled me out of the seat, but I was sitting in with my armrest down, with the seatbelt fucking closed.
That's fucking embarrassing.
Really embarrassing, but it was just one of those things where it's just like, I can't, they've got me dead to rights. I am fat,
Yeah.
but I ain't too fat to fit in your fucking chair, but they were like, oh, he was, and then they lied about it.
What was
They
the fight that
pulled
you
their
fought?
lie.
Did you win?
I mean, who could ever win in that situation? I wanted as much as I exposed him for being like sizists, and then apparently I wasn't the first by any stretch of the imagination, and I haven't been the last. That's a really sickening thing. I get at least a report a week from people going like same thing just happened to me.
On that airline.
Oh yeah, they're the worst. If you're over 200 pounds, you have no business going anywhere near Southwest because you could randomly just get pulled off the plane. That's what happened. Like I was randomly fucking pulled off the plane. Had nothing to do with my weight, size, anything like that. I feel just because there was a dude in the jetway, I thought the comment I made was a little untoward or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was coming out with like a jetway. I had been the last guy on the plane.
Yeah.
They gave me a standby ticket and shit because I was supposed to be on the next flight.
Right.
So I got a standby ticket to fly earlier, and I had 2 seats for the earlier flight because my wife's supposed to come with and shit. So I came to the desk with 2 seats, and they were like, "We can only get you one if we get you on at all." I said, "Okay, I'll just take the one. All I need is 1 seat."
Yeah.
And she's going, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't need the 2 seats." And she was going, "What about the safety requirements?" I was like, what do you safety? What's
Yeah.
on another 9/11? What's
Yeah.
happening? And then I was like, "Oh, are you saying I'm fat?" I was like, "Lady, I'm fat. I'm not too fat for this seat." No. She goes, "Oh." Okay. So when I get down the jetway, like finally everyone's bored, and she's like, "Go, you can go right now."
Yeah.
Go down the jetway. The dude in the jetway goes, "Who are you?" And I was like, "She just told me I could come. I'm the standby guy." And he goes, "Are you blah, blah, blah?" He said something I didn't understand. And I said, "What is that?" And he goes, "Are you revenue?" And I go, "Dude, did you just reclassify me as luggage?" And he goes, he didn't think I was funny. Like,
Right.
I said, "You have his face on this." I said, "Revenue." And I was like, "What is that?" And he goes, "Revenue means you paid for your ticket. You seat where right up front,
Yeah.
in the bulkhead seat to the left, middle seat between two chicks. An older grandmother side, and like a 50-year-old woman or something like that. I'm like, this is it. I don't give a shit. It's a 45-minute fucking flight.
Yeah.
Put my bag up, sit down, go and to click my fucking seatbelt. And I look and I see the chick who had been at the desk coming toward me on the plane, and she was just like, for some reason I thought she was going to tell me my mother had died. I don't know why. Some official person coming right at me.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that occurred to me. Is like, oh my God, my mother died.
Yeah.
And like, they're telling you now. Like, people are
Get in touch with them.
yeah, I was like, this service is amazing. Like that red plastic heart means something. They care. And she was just like, you're gonna have to. She gets from me. And I was like, why? What's going on? She's going, you're gonna. It's just you can't stay on the plane. We got a phone call from the captain. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, the safety issue. And I was like, what? Wait. I said, oh my God, lady. I said, look, I'm sitting here. Look, the handrests are down. What are you talking about? She's going, yeah. Can you please just come with me? And I was like, why? I'm fitting just fine. I was like, ma'am, and I turned to the old lady to the right. Ma'am, am I crushing you? And no, first it was the lady to the left. Turned to the lady to the left, the 50-year-old woman. I said, ma'am, am I crushing you at all? And she's going, it's only an hour flight. I was like, that's not bad. I turned to the old lady to the right, and I was just like, ma'am, am I squishing you? And she goes, what? I was like, squishing you? She goes, what? I said, squish. And she's going, no. And I was like, oh, okay, see, there's no problem here. And the stewardess going, and she's not a stewardess, she's a ticket counter.
All right.
She's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to come with me. And that's when I hit her with the fucking like, all right, I'm gonna take it all off. I'm gonna take the shirt off.
Yeah.
And show you my man boobs. I was like, lady, please don't do this to me. Like when I sat down, I saw 4 people looking right at me, smile, know exactly who I am. They see you coming here and taking me off. Like somebody's gonna talk. This is humiliating.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, can we just have this discussion in the jet way?
She didn't know who you were.
It didn't matter.
Right.
She didn't give a fuck.
Bullshit.
She didn't give a fuck.
No, I know, but I mean, if they did.
I don't know. Well, I mean, look, in retrospect now, I'm sure she wishes she had just been like, yo. My feeling is the dude in the jet way had been like, so
Fuck that guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I had not been in that plane fucking not even a minute. I got my bag up and shit, and went to sit down, and I didn't sit because I went to get my Walkman, my fucking iPod, and my headphones, and then went to sit down, got comfy and shit, and just went to click, and that's when that chick showed up. And she kept telling me, like, the pilot's telling us that, he sees you. And I was like, how can the pilot see me? I can't even see the pilot.
Yeah.
She's like, well, the plane has mirrors. And I was like, yeah, the bathroom? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, lady, for me to see the pilot, I would have to lean all the way over this lady here and look down. How can the pilot possibly see me? And it was just bullshit.
And then what happened? You had a war with him?
I sat there at the desk, and they're like, we can put you on the next flight, give you a travel voucher. I was like, you're out of your mind. I was like, I was supposed to be on that plane, man. Like, you guys gave
Why
me
would the next
ticket.
plane be any fucking different?
No, because she would give me 2 seats on the next plane, she was saying, or something like that. I said, lady, I was clearly fitting in the 1 seat. She's like, well, what can we do for you? I was like, give me a private jet home, because I would have been home now if it weren't for you guys.
Yeah.
I was like, and she's like, you can't do that. I was like, all right, helicopter will do. It'll be like a 2-hour flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a private helicopter. And she was like, you're being ridiculous. I was like, am I? I was the one who was seated on the plane with my ticket. Seated. And you guys yanked me off. Even though I was buckled in.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times we said, your armrests are down. And she was just like, giving me no purchase. And she's like, all I can do for you is this. She got on. I said, look, can you give me your name? She's like, no. I was like, why not? And I was like, you know my name? She's like, well, we're not supposed to go out names. I was like, this is horseshit. You know my name, you know where I live, you have all my personal information. And she was like, I just give you my name and work name. I was like, all right, give me your name. I'm copying all the information down and shit. And I literally said to her at one point, I was like, lady, I'm something of a journalist. Like, I'm just going to talk about this. She realized that. She's like, well, I don't care what you do. And her manager comes over, says, what's the matter? And I was just like, dude, I need the situation up and down. And he goes, we can offer you a voucher.
Right.
We can offer you
Right.
this address. This is who you write to. This is who you
Yeah.
call. And I said, buddy, hold on to your brochure. In about
Yeah.
1 hour's time, you're going to come looking for me. And I left. A bit of a swagger.
Yeah.
And I went and sat down, and you know what? Fuck anyone who's like, oh, you cocky son of a bitch. I needed that cocky man in that moment.
Yeah.
An airline told me I was fat, dude, in
Yeah.
front of a plane full of fucking people.
Yeah.
And this chick at the desk, she put no fucking stab on the wound whatsoever. It was
Yeah.
almost like she was like, come here,
Yeah.
pour some lemon on
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
shit."
yeah.
So I walked away going, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
I know who I am.
Yeah.
I sat down and I started fucking tweeting. Bang, bang, bang. Just fucking banging the legs of that company.
Yeah.
And it was comedy. I was like, I'm a
But you-
comic and I know what to do with my pain. I
Right.
turned it into something fun.
And you had their fucking tweet address.
Yeah, went at them, and I was there in the lobby.
You got a lot of followers, so it means fucking business.
It just went everywhere. Who knew? I didn't know it was covered. This slow news day or whatever. I should have figured it out right away. Back down, let me see. So it started. I just sat there, tweet after tweet, just hitting them, just mocking the fuck out of them and shit like that, making fun of me, making fun of them. And then some dude is close to boarding, so I get up and I go over to my gate and I'm leaning on the wall right across my gate. And I see the manager guy from the other gate, fucking past me. And then he doubles back and he goes, Mr. Smith! He fucking races over and he goes, stop tweeting, please. And I was just like, I told you you were going to come find me, man. How are you? And he was like, listen, I just want to apologize. I said, save it, buddy. It's too late, man. He's like, well, look, we're just going to hook you up. We're going to make sure you get on first on this plane over here. I was like, I'm already get on first. I have A ticket. Like, the A ticket. Yeah, I have number 1, too. So I can, well, you know, thanks. Your time's packed. Like, I needed help back there.
That's a good feeling.
You handed me a brochure. Oh, it was fucking awesome. It was so awesome. And then I got on the next flight, and then they were sick, dude. This organization's pretty bad.
Yeah.
There was, they grabbed a girl who was very chubby, like me. She was, we did a podcast about her right afterwards.
Yeah.
And sat her next to me.
Yeah.
In the seat where I was, like on the other side. And then
Talking amongst yourselves, fat people. What was it?
I don't know what it was. Other people paraded past us, but it was just like, why they had the fat people in front? There were 2 of us.
Yeah.
Then they pull her from her seat and take her out in the jetway. She comes back, she's crying. And I don't talk to strangers and shit, but I'd already fucking been through hell that night. So I was just like, what's this all about? And she goes, they said that I wasn't gonna be able to fly because I didn't buy 2 seats. And I would need to buy 2 seats, otherwise you would be mad. And I was like, they brought me into this? And she's just, yeah, because you just went through something. I was like, these sons of fucking bitches. They took this poor, overweight chick.
Yeah.
And I'll say, well, she's poor because she's overweight.
Yeah.
But they just haplessly picked this fucking broad to sit her next to me to try to prove a point. Like, well, we do this to all fat people.
Yeah.
It ain't just you.
Yeah.
How fucking mean is that?
Yeah,
dude?
yeah.
Somebody had to okay that.
Yeah.
Somebody in a position of power at Southwest said, do that. And then pull her out and yell at her. Because the girl was like, they literally told me to sit in that seat. She's going, fuck that. I sit in the back of the plane.
Yeah.
I get in line first so I can race to the back of the plane so I don't have to have everyone parading past me. They made me sit in this chair, and then they yelled at me telling me I have to buy another seat, even though there are plenty of empty seats everywhere. And they did it just so it could be in front of me. What a deplorable fucking reign of Nazis these air marshals are at Southwest.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I get it. We're all in business trying to make a buck, but like, I ain't fucking over my fellow man to get a fucking buck in my pocket.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Humiliating people in public and
Now I
shit.
gotta start flying birds more often. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you know how they used to have the Orca plane?
Do they have a bat plane?
No, I flew down with Kevin Smith.
What? Dude, I thought about
It's just your face at the head of the plane and a trench coat.
Going all in flaps in the breeze. Please tell me there's a theme song. Like a Batman, like Tim Burton's 89.
I think they could probably ask you to write it, given that they have no fucking sense.
These people. I think if there were some wise fat people out there, they would all get together and hire me as their spokesperson, the front man, and we would just do Air Tubby or whatever, Air Fat Club. And just, we would all, fat people would travel on their own fucking plane.
Well, I think you probably heard him, which is good.
Southwest?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't even like, I didn't want to hurt them. I just want to warn, like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Fucking footnote.
Yeah.
Tacky.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Classless fucking tacky pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But you just don't want anyone to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
So you just want to, like, spread the word for other fat people. Like, don't look, I understand it's a cheap ticket, but look someplace else. Because
Right.
it ain't worth it. That shit'll hang with a motherfucker.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
honestly,
yeah, yeah.
that was defining.
Being ostracized
It
and
was
being
defining
embarrassed.
moment for me.
God
Yeah.
damn.
It was like, oh, you want to talk about humiliation. Like, by the time I got home, it started to germinate into this news story, and because I had called myself fat in so many tweets, every news agency felt utterly at liberty to use those words about me in the headline. So it was just like, fat director, way fat director,
So that kind
morbidly
of,
obese
that kind of
director.
stuff hit you in the ass a little.
Holy shit, dude. Like, you want to talk about 5,000 press articles all screaming how fat you were in the headline. And then there were some that weren't even clever about it.
And this is
fucking
pretty.
Philadelphia Daily News,
Yeah.
the worst fucking rag on the planet,
Yeah.
has on the cover a picture of Nate, and it just says blimp landed.
Holy shit.
You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, that's not even, they didn't pull those words from my words.
So what's the morality tale in that?
At that point, I just realized I hate the media with everything that I am, because all these people who, for years, a lot of these people, I had done stories with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't hard news people covering this fucking too fat
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
That's the same motherfuckers who I sit
Entertainment
down
guy.
with and do entertainment pieces. Who
Really?
call me at
This
any
thing is
time of
not
day and be
fucking
like,
working.
"I'm
It'll
writing
leak the
this story
shit
about
out of this, but when I try to write something with it,
Door's always open. And all of a sudden, all these motherfuckers wanted to write the lie story. Just tell the story about, oh, fat guy on a little plane. Nobody wanted to. There's one dude on the Huffington Post.
It's like-
Who actually wrote the right story.
Right.
The story is like, the story is this dude got fucked by a corporation. Just like you have gotten fucked by a corporation. But rather than fucking go quietly into good night, he made a big stick about it. And instead, you know, dude's getting fucking harassed for his troubles and shit like that.
It just seems
all
like
alone, dude. I
Yeah.
really realized that at that point, you do it alone. I always thought there was a team effort out there somewhere. That we're all in this
No,
together
people are
somehow.
frightened and the media are piranhas. I mean, it just was a feeding frenzy.
It was nasty.
But it
Well,
seems like-
it was also coming fucking, like, what would happen a month later is, like, Cop Out would come out, and the critics would just tear into this movie in a way that was like, it wasn't even film criticism anymore. It was like watching bullies beat up a retard.
Yeah.
You know, in a
Did they call you fat again?
see, like it's not writing, but there's clearly paint in there because it's.
You know what I'm saying? If I can't fuck her, I bet you I could buy her. Like, you want to play on that level?
Damn, what the hell's going on here? Come on.
Hugely successful.
Yeah.
I'm fat with success. What
Yeah.
do you want
There
me
we
to take
go.
away from you?
Yeah.
To prove that I'm
Just
fucking
had to shake
not
it up
this
a bit.
evil fat man you make. Like, and you never want to, what is it called? Hit them on that level.
Yeah.
Meet them on that level. But sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
somebody like pulls your fucking physicality into the review of a movie, it's like, what the fuck does that have to do
So
with
what
anything?
happened with Cop Out? I mean, what were they doing?
In which?
I mean, like you brought up that, you know, when Cop Out came out, that the
Oh, it
same.
was just nasty. It was just basically people like beating the movie to death, dude, saying it was like the worst movie ever made. I mean, whatever.
Dude, I love Cop Out. I think I own that. I got the Blu-ray.
All these people that I sit down and do time with, like happily.
It's like my mama always said, my son is a genius. My son is a genius.
Right.
So why should I have any of their fucking bags?
Right.
And
Dude,
also,
Tracy Morgan. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I've been doing what
Dude,
I've
Cop
been
Out
doing
is such a
for
good
20
movie.
years. At the beginning of the job, you always get respect and, hey man, you need these people.
Sure.
You need the press to get
Yeah.
the word out.
Glad you did. Yeah.
Absolutely, but at the end of the day, Mark, I've been doing this for 20 years. If
Yeah.
you do something for 20 years, you build an audience all your own. You
Yeah.
don't need the press. You are the press.
Right.
So essentially, at that point, why am I sitting down with these people? And it used to be because, like, well, you just reach your audience.
Yeah.
Sit down with the press who knows who you
Yeah.
can reach. Well,
Yeah.
guess what, man? I've done my homework in the last 2 years. And I'll be on a website and read some fucking horrible article about what a dickhead I am and fucking holy terror behind the camera and Bush and cinnamon, all this fucking stupid bullshit. And back in the day, I'd read that and I would go like, oh my god, who's reading this?
Yeah.
Like, everyone can read this
Yeah.
now. This person just put this in public. And,
Yeah.
and if it's in print and it's news, I mean, this counts. Somebody's going to think this is fucking real. And you would sit there and you would pull your hair out and you would be like, you would be crippled. I would lose days wondering how much damage can these pieces do.
I can't imagine paralyzing, just paralyzed.
Now, you just click on their little Twitter account button and see how many followers they have. Because that's how you figure out how many people they're reaching.
Yeah.
And when I see like somebody tearing my fucking throat out and click and see they've got like 300 Twitter followers, it's like, dude, I block 300 Twitter followers a day just
Yeah.
for being an asshole. It's
Yeah.
like, I know I reach more people than you. At the end of the day, majority fucking bullies.
Yeah.
And it's like, I now know that I reach more people than these people can influence me. So for me, it's like, why do I have to play this game anymore? I'm not going to be polite to people who just want to shit in my mouth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's all they do. Dude.
Yeah.
They want to sit there and be nice to you in person, and then write a story where they try to be clever about your fucking foibles and the ups and the downs.
They're always
of your
trying to cut their
fucking
own teeth. They just want to take the upper hand.
Yeah.
It's
Well, why?
fucked up.
Why? Because
They're
basically it's
small.
like, let me show people how
Yeah.
clever I am in my
Yeah.
writing. You want to show people how clever you are in writing? Write something original.
They're smart.
Create something from
Yeah.
scratch. Go write a movie. Go
Yeah.
write a book.
Yeah.
Go record a podcast.
Well, they're parasites.
Mm.
I mean, it's just like, it irritates me.
Yeah.
And now they're all mad at me because I don't want to talk to you. Because I'm just like, after fucking nearly 20 years, I mean, you guys have frustrated me to the point of like, what's the point of having
Yeah.
conversations? For years, all you said was he should stop making VSQ movies, and I did, and they were like, oh, this is terrible. He shouldn't do this either. He should just try. He's no director, and I go and I try to direct a movie only, and they don't focus on that. Well, he made a bad movie, and as if I wrote it.
You can't win.
Dude, you cannot win with these people, and that's what I realized. Like how much time I'm so resentful because of all the time that I've lost, creative time wasted fighting battles of opinion with people that don't fucking matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't even matter to me because they don't even buy tickets to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They go see it for free.
Yeah.
And then shit in its mouth. Bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and play to the people that are happy to see me there, and there are a lot of them, dude.
Yeah.
Back in the day, people go, "Oh, go play me fucking."
Yeah.
Guess what, man? I've lived off that audience for nearly 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know I said it before, and I don't mean this in a braggy way. I live in a bigger house than anyone in my entire lineage ever thought existed in this world, or would ever be open to someone like us.
Mhm.
I think I know what I'm fucking doing. Back off. You know what I'm saying? After 20 years, you'd imagine they'd just be like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I'm only doing what I do. I don't do what they do.
Well,
I don't follow anyone else's path. I follow mine and make a flick. And then I'm like, hey man, let's create a podcasting empire.
Like
And then it's
comic,
like, hey,
yeah.
let's go over here and write a comic. Like, all these doors and opportunities are open to me. Why should I limit myself to one tiny fucking thing?
well, I think there's part of us.
I can suck at everything. But you know what? I get to try it.
Yeah, and also I think there's just a part of us as people who are creative that we still look for that approval. And fighting with that motherfucker. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
you
good.
have that?
No, it took me a long time to realize that, hey, there isn't a little me in everybody.
That's brilliant.
You know, I would just.
I wish I'd met you a few years ago. I would have taken that one and ran with it, man. That is a sound piece of advice right there. There isn't a little me there.
Because there's that party, like, I would be saying what I say the way I want to say it, and if people didn't get it, I'm like, you're not going deep enough to find your inner mark. You all look exactly like me. Yell at the world. And, you know, and at some point, I sort of, I got away from it. But now,
Do you realize it doesn't matter? Like, dude, honestly, they can
you
write
can't be
anything
happy
they
if
want.
you live in that fucking mindset.
Because you can never live. It's like trying to live up to an evil step parent.
Well, it's trying to live up to, it's like, it's literally, you don't have any freedom to be happy with yourself.
No.
Because you're judging yourself on their fucking terms.
And also, they just basically, the thing that works for me has also worked against me many times in life. And I'm not bitching because I've had a great run. But I'm them. I am from them. I'm literally a guy. If I wasn't making movies, I'd be writing about them on the internet.
Right.
When I'm not making movies, I live on the fucking internet.
Yeah.
So they recognize me because I came from them. I'm one of them made good for them.
Right.
That has been a boon for me. Other times, it really hurts because you get judged against a different curve than anybody else.
Oh yeah, Hometown Boy makes good doesn't work.
Oh shit!
When Hometown Boy comes home, they're like, you're just the same fuck you
who
were
the
when
fuck
you were
do you
here.
think You are. You're not the Coen Brothers.
Right. So Red State, you want to talk about it?
I can if you want.
I mean,
it's not funny. It's not a comedy.
It's
at all.
okay, man.
That's your fault.
Yeah.
But it's not funny. Man. It's not funny.
You don't have to be funny all the time.
Like, don't be like that, Mark. Don't you be that way.
No, if it comes from your heart, Ken.
Not you, Mark. Not you. I start swinging and shit. It is. It's not a comedy. It's pretty out there. It's gonna be fun to watch it with.
Well, how would you classify it then?
I don't. It's tough. It's tough to put into.
What's the angle?
I keep calling it a horror movie.
Okay.
To me, it is a horror movie. Some people would
Are
argue.
you a horror movie fan?
I like them quite a bit. I've never made one.
So in the sense that it's a horror movie, you kind of studied a little bit, and you
No, it's a horror movie in as much as the elements are horrific.
Okay.
The elements at play are truly.
So it's not a genre horror movie.
But it is at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's this weird kind of. I don't know. I honestly don't.
How are you setting it up? How are you pitching it to people?
I don't. We've been talking about it for so long. For 3 years of it trying to make it. Finally found the money, and then we made it really quickly. We got into Sundance. We debut in less than 2 weeks on the 23rd up in Sundance. Let me see. Michael Parks is in it. I put out the teaser for it. There've been posters that we've been releasing into the world, all of which have pointed to a very unsettling flick. And even people who normally are like, "Fuck this guy and his terrible fucking movies," are like,
What are the themes?
it's about religious fundamentalism.
It's already creepy.
Yeah, it's very. When you see the teaser too, it's really unsettling.
Is it?
It's kind of cool, and for me, Rosemary's Baby horror movie.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. So you play your cards close to your chest, and it's not making a statement about religion. It's just making.
Maybe that's to me. I made statements about religion.
Right.
Dogma. That's what everyone seems to think. Like
Right.
everyone keeps saying the movie's political or
Right.
religious or something based on the title, and people are like, how can you not see it? I'm like, yes, I understand, but it was a double-entendre title. I'm not a political person.
Right.
Red to me is blood. Like,
Yeah,
someone,
right. Yeah,
red
yeah,
state,
yeah,
blood
yeah.
state kind of thing. And then people are like, why I call it blood state? I'm like, well, that's not clever.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, red state is fucking clever. And also, wouldn't you rather take that movie for a fucking horror title than have somebody, make it with a meaningful movie or something?
There is something that
Well, it's good. It sounds like
this piece is missing, and I didn't put it in
And once you look at it,
the reference image that I have here, and that's my mistake. So I'm going to attempt to see if I can make something of it.
You have a hard time processing that I'm involved in MMA. So there's that. Then it's just like, what the fuck is this about?
And see what it is that I'm missing.
It's just all imagery with
Or if I actually am missing anything. Actually, it doesn't even look that bad. Here, let me pause this for a second. So, talking about what I thought it was missing, because I'm looking at this, and as much as I like it and it's cool, it's not it doesn't have the shit. It doesn't have kind of like a civilization look to it. Like it's still like it looks like a ghost town. You know what I mean? There's no life in it, no life to it. So what I'm thinking is if I add some if I add some kind of branding to some of the buildings, some more color to it, something like that. If I could add some color to some of these buildings, some kind of branding looking stuff. But man, just off of like my immediate research that I just did in like a couple of seconds. Like I said, when I say I research stuff, I'm not really I'm trying to spend the least amount of time as possible. And I'll show you what I'm doing or talking about in a second. Let me just get this yellow in that I've been thinking about for a while, but not actually doing. There we go. But yeah, I just like really quick like looked up downtown just so I could pull up a bunch of images of what a downtown looks like. Like we all kind of see what it looks like in our head, but well, I shouldn't say we all. Some people more than others can imagine what a downtown looks like in their head, right? But but I was thinking I would see like a little more branding, but I guess that's when you're more close up. The like downtowns actually are just a whole lot of like cement and cement and glass, like a whole lot of windows and cement. So it looks like really gray and reflective of, the blue sky or whatever color the sky is. That's the color that the glass is going to be reflecting. But I still want to look for some sort of opportunity to drop a little more color into this. See, like, for instance, can I brighten my screen a little bit? So I just looked up downtown, literally. I just looked up downtown. And this is what you get when you look at a downtown city. Now, something like this, you see a difference in color of buildings. Like this, these are mostly glass, so they're really blue. Even there's different like stone types and brick types, and then there's like paintings and things like that. Um, I was looking for a little more unison in what I'm creating down here. Um, so yeah, I'm wondering how can I introduce a little more color. I kind of like, this picture here, how you can see like blues, purples, yellows, things like that. Differences in the buildings. But yeah, you don't really see too much branding or billboards or anything like that. Like you can't identify a specific building. Like maybe if you like zoomed in, you can see like, oh, that says like Wells Fargo on it. But from this distance, you can't really make that out. So, so yeah, maybe I did capture it correctly. Like you can't see what any of these buildings are. I mean, unless you know what they are historically or something like that. You may be able to tell like which ones were built before other ones and things like that. Like what is that? Is that the Seattle? The skyline because it has that one weird building that it's like known for its skyline. Either way, yeah. So they all look more or less the same. See, like what I made looks pretty much like this. I mean, they're all the same colors where these are kind of more or less a little bit different. And that's what I'm saying. Like, just introduce a little bit more color to some of these buildings to differentiate them a bit. I think I may know how to do that. I'll need to grab a couple light colors. Uh, or maybe even just this one. And just kind of use it a little disparagingly.
Now what the fuck's going on? And then it's on Smodcast on our podcast network website. So it gets you bobbing and weaving. You don't quite know what it is.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, everyone gets to kind of know what it is. At least people were up there.
Yeah.
For Sundays and stuff. But I'll spend most of the year working on that.
Getting that out in the world.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. It sounds like a completely new thing.
It'll be fun, man. To do that. I mean, the nice thing is, for me, I've gotten to a place with the films where I'm kind of almost done. Like, I got one more movie I want to do, and then I think it's done.
Then what happens? What do you finish? Do you go back to the church?
No, man, lots of other stuff. I like doing podcasts and things.
Yeah, me
I
too,
spend
yeah.
way more time doing that
Yeah.
than anything else.
It's very engaging.
It's engaging and it takes time.
Yeah.
So it's not like my job here is done. I leave the room. You still got to work ahead. Like this show ain't done. Like for me, I'm on 5 of the 7 shows that are on weekly, and I cut any show I'm on. So it's not only just recording. I got to sit there and fucking cut them.
Yeah.
So I live this shit.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like if I could do this for a living, and I can monetize it.
Yeah.
I'd much prefer to do that. It's like getting. I mean, look, I know we're not supposed to say it out loud, but it's like getting to be Howard Stern for me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that was always a dream. Like I sat there as a kid listening. That's what I think the 21st century is kind of about. People finding out like we used to all want to go outside, put on clothes, and do professional things. And I think 21st century is finding like we'd much rather smart money does it from its house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The closer you can get to never leaving your house.
Hey, that's what I'm trying to do.
That's how you win.
That's why I do all this art for you guys. It does serve me, but hopefully, like watching me do these things, you can see, the time and the creativity involved in putting something like this together. But yeah, I wanna. That's the goal here. Be able to make a living from home. gmrdrew.art, or no, well that's my website, but go to my Patreon, gmrdrew on Patreon.
See, that's the difference with me. You'll never get a guy going, are we done? Because I just assume we're going for hours.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't always happen, but I just want to thank you for coming. I'm glad you made the trip up here to
This was, I was telling you, when I came in, this was a discovery for me. You always think you live in a place until somebody invites you like 3 miles from your house. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
I know. It always happens when people come here. It's like, I've never been here.
I was telling you when I came in, I was like, this is the Los Angeles of that movie Cyrus. Like, I watched that movie Cyrus, and I'm like, this looks like LA. This doesn't look like any LA.
This is old.
Get a couple of buildings that
Yeah, I mean, I find that
different colors.
If you're in the hill, it's like living in the hills. Like right over there's Pasadena, Eagle Rock's up there, Glendale's over there.
Eagle
Echo
Rock,
Park.
I'm familiar with. We shot some Clerks too. There's a jail, a policeman's museum.
Well, that's right down here. That's on York. That's in Highland Park. That's like, yeah, it's down by York and Figueroa.
And across the street down the road a little bit is like a soda joint.
Galco's Pop Shop.
Yes!
Yeah,
I know that.
go get some old.
Whoa, what happened to my video? Oh, is that the end of it? Oh well. What I have coming on next is Rad Brad. Him playing the Final Fantasy remake DLC, the Yuffie DLC. So he has a few videos of that, so that'll probably be for a couple hours. Honestly, I'm almost done with this piece, so it may not even matter. But yeah, I got a bunch of his videos up next.
Always holds like some kind of sentimental value to me. One of my favorite games from growing up. And also, I got 7 Remake last year, the night before my daughter was born. So there's a lot of that going on. Really awesome. But they finally got a new expansion, and it's also been upgraded. I can actually play it on. If you put on a performance one, I think it's going to be 4K 60 frames. Not sure if you've seen
I
this
could
video,
add some gray in here.
make this one, but kind of show you I guess the upgraded version's loading times, which is insanely faster than the PS4 version. Look at that, we're already there. All right, so this actually follows the story of Yuffie. She was actually a character in the original game. We didn't see her when we played the main story last year because she wasn't in the story. I think the last character to join the team, which wasn't even playable, was Red 13. So, anyways, you guys are amazing. Any likes you dropping this is greatly appreciated. I'm going to start from the beginning. I kind of started up just kind of see how it plays.
There we go. Just get a little bit of
So, I'll say it right now. We get like 10 or 20,000 likes. I will probably do the full thing. I want to just kind of test out, see how it runs, and looks on my channel in 4K 60 frames, everything for you guys. So, you guys are awesome. Love you all, and let's get this.
oh wow, it starts with her humming and it ends with her humming. I didn't even realize that. It's probably the same song too.
Well, guys, your girl finally made it to Midgar.
There we go. Some of these.
You got this, Yuffie.
Just to throw a little bit of differentiating colors in there.
Need special forces operators.
Separate them from one another a bit.
I have orders to infiltrate Shiva headquarters and steal their ultimate material. To prove to our common enemy that brutality is not to be trifled with. Your full support. We got this. So, members of Avalanche, where are you? Come get me already! That was a man I
There we go.
It does? Interesting. So, that comes with you too, right? You got some nerve.
All right, so Yuffie, she was actually. I don't know if I used her much in Final Fantasy VII. I remember she was like a thief in that game. She was like a materia hunter. And oh, by the way, yes, you're hearing music. So there's a few games on my channel that I just cannot play without music. like Resident Evil Village, I can take off music, it's still kind of the same experience. Stuff like Doom Eternal and this, I don't know how you possibly play without it. So I'm kind of risking my channel right now by just letting it be. All right, Yuffie can fight effectively. Oh, some people call her Yuffie, which is
Yuffie.
the correct way to say it. I think it's Yuffie, and she even said her name in the opening cutscene just now. All right, here we go.
Yuffie.
Man, her combat style is insane. Good gracious, hold on. Nice. See what she got in your. Oh, she got. Wait, she already has all of her stuff. Elemental ninjutsu. Hold on. Yo, check this out. I don't know what would be effective. I guess fire against this. No, I love the attacks too. It's like nice. Okay, let me check something really quick. Map. What about? Here we go. Oh, so she starts at level 25. Okay. Serious do we currently have equipped? So she gets still, deadly dodge, healing, which definitely is a must. Assess materia, parry. Okay. What was any other ones? Wait, you got all this other stuff? Wait a minute. Let's go with well, assess is definitely necessary. Parry, not so much. Let's put these on since we're trying to, I guess, have those ready. All right, deadly dodge. I didn't use this much. With her combat style. Still, while that is good, I don't think I'll use it much. I would prefer to have, we have fire, ice. I'll go ahead and put the other one on there too. Lightning. There we go. All right, we're good. All right. Unique ability. Yeah, that's what I'm just doing. You can kind of hurl it. I kind of messed around with this a little bit earlier. Just kind of get used to controls. It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy VII. I didn't quite get all the characters to 50, but I think it was the max. Okay, so that's going to be... What's that harder for? Let's see what this does. Buff the enemy target. Oh, no, it just does that. Okay.
Okay.
Feels nice to return to this game. I thought, of all games that I wanted to have, like, brought forward into a remake, not a remake, but a PS5 upgrade, this game, Ghost of Tsushima, hopefully I'm saying that right, those types of games, I just feel like, why not bring them forward, you know? I know Jedi Fallen Order soon, too. Nice. Look at Midgar. Oh my goodness. So she's like on the outskirts of it right now.
There we go. So
I think it's Midgar. It should be, right? Her story would make sense if it is. Okay. I don't know if I should be using Cure a lot, really. Windstorm, let's try this. It's a good time for video games. Got so much new stuff being announced right now as I'm currently playing this. Oh yeah. I'll go ahead and actually let's assess because I don't know if it holds like my original stuff or not. All right, now we can use this.
there we go. A few different color buildings down there. Don't want to forget about the little guys.
There we go. Not fully maxed out, but I'll take.
All right.
Where do we go? Usually see the icon. Hold on, what are these posters? Oh, here we go. Oh, that poster over there just like say, hey, go here. Follow the blue icon on the bottom. We're good to go.
Yeah, let me, where are my markers? There you are. It's been so long since I've actually drawn something. My markers are all packed up. Here we go. And what's today's date? It's the 20th. There we go. God damn, that white paint marker was leaking so much it's still wet and bleeding. But yeah, I think I'm call it quits on this one, you know? Uh I love it. I love the sandcastle look. Um and yeah, that's basically going to be it for this city. I love it. You know, without trying to mess up the paper because that paint is still wet on the page. I wonder if I should just grab a piece of paper to like soak it up or something. Or here, I can just like cover it maybe. Because yeah, the paint up here is dry, over here is dry, it's just down here where it's wet. So I'll just use that for now. So I can bring this over. And so just so we could see, here's the original map. And the city I was working on is this one here. So just like it's right along the shoreline, just like this destroyed city, which is right next to it. I'll flip back to it in a second. And yeah, there's just a bunch of spiring towers that climb up the mountain. And yeah, that's what I have here. So that's what that's gonna look like. City looks like that, and man, I love it. I love it because what's happening is this is the beginning of the structural, the structures type on this like land and continent, whatever you want to call it. Um, so there's a bit of that, but it's also very unique with the colors that it works with. Um, and yeah, there is a reason why they all kind of have the same color, or at least the color of the cement or whatever the buildings are all like this. Um, and yeah, it's I guess I can get into that later, but you know, I don't want to give away too much, but hopefully this was fun. And yeah, man, that's gonna be it. I'm G Mr. Drew. That's at G Mr. Drew on all social media. You can follow, like, and subscribe. Links are in bio. Any and all support is appreciated. And you know, of course, you can contact me through all that stuff, as well as my website, gmrdrew.art. You can see anything and everything that I do there. Always updating it, so there's always something new to go to see. Um, and you know, there's a whole bunch of content on there, years and years of my art life and art journey and everything like that. So, what else? Yeah, that's it, man. I just want to thank anyone and everyone who has watched it, who's watching these videos. That you know, that I really hope you appreciate it and you're learning something from it. I would love it if people, like, once I get enough followers, I guess people will like start to communicate and begin to communicate, and you know, actually this will actually become a conversation that I can have with people. That's why I had the Discord with only like 2 people in there for right now, and things like that. And anytime we chat, uh, anytime I chat with anybody, it's always like a really singular conversation. But you know, hopefully one day this builds, and it builds to the point where you know we could just have conversations about subject matters and talking about things and all that stuff. And um, you know, and I'll be a little more talkative and with things to say and discuss that I know that you guys care about because you're talking about it with me. So either way, yeah, check out website, social media, all that stuff. And I want to thank you for watching the Andrew Glowczewski Experience, episode 178. We finished this bad boy. The next thing that I want to do is tackle the next environment, which is in this which will be in this square. And I'll probably make a video of the putting together references, because again, I'm gonna have to do something where it'll be. Are we focused? Let's focus. There we go. We'll be tackling this port town, this port city, and things like that. Really excited about it. I might have to do like a few things because there's a whole lot going on here, and yeah, man, I love like where this is all leading to, because in the previous stream, I had talked about the structure, anatomy of this continent's buildings, and then I discussed it on there, so I don't want to go into detail about it now. You can go back and watch that. But yeah, to see where all this stuff is going, I think is great, because it's ultimately it will tell a story, and it will be a part of the story, and oh, so cool, man. I can't wait to get done with all the concept art so I can start telling stories. But I've officially maybe begun to scratch the surface, but still there's a whole lot more to go. So stay tuned for that, man. Please follow to the channel, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff. I'm trying to get that affiliate status on Twitch, and so that way I can get more involved and create more stuff for you guys in the future. I have a Patreon, Mr. Drew on Patreon. You can support me for as low as $1, but I also offer like character portraits and anything like that, like artwork. If you want any work from me, that's on Patreon. You can start, commissions start at $3 a month, and they go all the way up to $30 a month. That sounds like a lot, but it's all, for, you get more bang with your buck, obviously. Everything is detailed there. Even the project that I'm working on with all that is detailed there. That's the whole point of everything that I'm trying to do. Listen to a podcast today with Mark Mayer and Kevin Smith talking about working from home, and that's what we're all trying to do, is be successful from home. Not because we're bums, but because we're all just trying to live a good life. And that's all I'm trying to do. So yeah, you can check me out on Patreon that way. And that's it, man. Thank you. Love you. I'll be back. Peace.